Welcome back to New Day on Ebru Television. I'm Kamene Goro, as we're tackling topical issues in the country and setting the pace for the right conversations that should be part of the social sphere in the country right now. Now, in studio with me, I have Barbara Kawira from FIDA, as we tackle and delve into some of the intricacies that come with mediation, or what could alternatively, or what could be termed as alternative dispute resolution, and its acceptance in Kenya, and why it is it's an appropriate form of mediation and, like I said, dispute resolution. Welcome to studio, Barbara.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you can introduce our guests.
My name is Barbara
Yes.
Kawira. I'm the Deputy Director, FIDA Kenya. The guests will introduce themselves.
I'm Dr. Wakoli from the College of Medicine, University of Nairobi. And this is my wife, Martha Nyakairo.
Karibuni sana, welcome to studio. And maybe, Barbara, you can just bring us up to speed, as well as the viewers, on what it is FIDA is championing when it comes to mediation and alternative dispute resolution.
FIDA Kenya is currently supporting mediation, in the sense that mediation is a process where FIDA supports mediators. So we have mediators on board, people that help parties resolve disputes. It could be land disputes, it could be environmental issues, or even issues that affect their marriage.
Yes.
So mediation is a process where we look into supporting families or people in disputes to find an amicable solution to their problems. Why do we advocate for mediation? It is a cheaper process. More often than not, it is quite fast, because then when people take a seat and discuss their issues, they're able to come up with an amicable solution. FIDA takes through mediators, their mediators through training, a 40-hour kind of a training, which then enables them to have the relevant skills, acquire the relevant information into mediation. It's also important to note that the mediators do not give a solution to the problem. They just facilitate the process whereby those that have a dispute are able to sit down and agree on what their disputes are, and then have an amicable solution to the problems.
And what are some of these skills that are required to actually facilitate a proper mediation process? You said it's not about giving solutions, it's more so about creating an atmosphere where conversations that will be productive can be had. So I think one of the things that we would like to know is, what are these skills that are pertinent for someone to be in a position to do that?
You must be someone that has gone through a counseling process, so that you're able to understand the parties, because at times the matters could be very aggrieving, and parties could even sit before you and they are not in talking terms. So you must be someone who is able to moderate a session, in the sense that you're able to cool people off and cool them down, and so that then you're able to create an environment where people can agree, where people can talk in an amicable kind of a situation. So basically, some of the skills, it's more on counseling. Legal background is also important.
Yeah. All right, and you said that there are various forms of mediation that FIDA facilitates. I think, looking at the cases that you've dealt with, without going into too much detail, which has been the most popular, for lack of a better word, or what is the most, the form of mediation that features the most between land disputes, personal issues, be it a marital or sibling rivalry, I believe could also be grounds for mediation. But what are the cases that you guys handle the most?
Most of it is family disputes. Maintenance, custody, more often than not land. Also, you'll find disputes between husband and wife, and so FIDA does assist in dispute resolution in such matters. But more often than not, you'll note that, again, mediation does not apply in matters criminal or even gender-based violence, which then involves harm, or where someone is afflicted on harm. So basically, we do deal more on family disputes, more often than not husband and wife, child maintenance, custody. Those are some of the issues, and land-related matters, of course.
All right, so I suppose now we can talk to Daktari and your lovely wife. You've been part of one mediation process.
Yes.
What has it been like? Would you effectively say it's been a successful process?
Yes, I think that I can say for sure that when we first went to FIDA, we had a lot of differences, and we were far apart. But progressively, and I agree with what has been said, that you need to have a skillful person who is trained in mediation to actually bring people with such huge differences, narrow the differences progressively until they can actually now talk. And I remember we had 5 sessions. Wow. And you can virtually imagine where we started. The first session was very explosive, and that was a reflection of the differences we had. But as we went through all those sessions, our differences were narrowed down until by the time we finished, we actually were surprised and wondered why even we had such differences over things that we could have resolved ourselves. And we realized that it was just lack of communication. We had not communicated properly. And so because of lack of communication, progressively, we had become bitter. My wife had become bitter, I had become bitter. And so it was very difficult for us to communicate under an environment of acrimony. So as the differences were narrowed down, we actually started talking to each other amicably.
Wow.
And so I can say, and she'll have to talk for herself, I can say that personally I gained a lot from the process. And of course, because I work in the medical profession, where a lot of these things are also, we do see people with similar problems. I gained a lot from the process. And that's why I keep on saying that I would recommend it to anybody and everybody.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Madam?
Yeah, I remember it is me who went to FIDA. And when I went to FIDA, it is because I didn't have anywhere else to go. And the problem I had, I thought it could not be solved in another way. But when I went there and we started the mediation, I discovered that when people don't talk, things also go badly because you don't understand each other. But when we started the mediation, I started seeing the things I thought they could not be solved, or the things I didn't know, they are now coming out because you are given a chance to talk. And the other person also talks. And then you understand well. But when you are both, nobody who could talk.
Yeah.
So the mediator was very kind to us because he gave us time to talk what you feel. And when we talked what we felt, we started hearing. The hearing came on as we went on, and then we get opened to each other.
Yes.
So whatever somebody was saying I didn't know about you, you had to know there. Then as we went on, we discovered that it was just small things which we were taking very big. But it helped us because we went to an extent where we even wondered why we were fighting and why we were enemies, and we had lived for so many years.
Wow.
So I feel that everybody should check for mediation because people usually think that FIDA breaks marriages. But that is not correct. I wish many people looked for mediation, and many families could have been saved. Perhaps the broken families could be still there. So I would advise people to go for mediation first before anything else.
Wow.
So I really appreciate FIDA.
And your husband said that you went for 5 sessions collectively.
Yeah.
And I can assume the first session was very challenging. By the time you were approaching FIDA and as you started the first mediation session, did you think it would be a success? Or were you just trying by virtue of the fact that you really wanted to solve the issues that you have?
I think the mediator, what he did good was that he gave us time to talk what has affected you. So the first 2, we quarreled so much, even we could wake up and go, everybody goes on his way. But as we went on the third one, we started having a sense that we should listen to each other. Then that is how we went on opening. We started opening our hearts, opening everything. If it is something you doubted and you thought the other person is not telling you the truth, he spoke. And then you could understand what the problem is. We discovered the problem we had, it was a very small problem. It couldn't have gone to that level.
Wow. It's really, I'm feeling very encouraged when I hear stories like this.
Yes.
Because I think, and first of all, but I could be wrong, in Africa, it's very hard, I realize, for us to talk about our issues to somebody we don't know.
Yes.
Or for us just to talk about our issues.
Yes.
I mean, I say, I'm case in point myself, I was in a very long relationship that came to an end. And even the circumstances surrounding that end of the relationship is not something I talk about. And I hear that you were able to zero in and see one little issue that was very easy to solve because you could open up and talk to somebody else. And it's great that, they're saying the narrative that people have of FIDA is not true. FIDA is actually more about bringing families together. And I want to ask you, at what point did you know that you could trust this other person was going to help? It's hard, like I said, even as women, by the time I'm talking to another woman about my issues, or even another man, I'm very, labda nimefika mwisho kabisa. When did you know that this is someone you could trust to assist you in mending this fence?
Yeah, the first time and the second time, I was talking to people outside. And I think people outside don't tell you the truth.
Really?
Because you tell them your problem, and they tell you, if it was me, that would be the end. Even I would never want to see that person. So you can see that when you talk to people who have no experience of bringing people together, they destroy more. They actually aggravate you to destroy everything, because they tell you, it's better you forget everything if he did that. Finish everything. Do you have hope that this person can be a good person or you can trust him? As they tell you that, now you feel that, you are giving up. But here, I could listen to people. I come for mediation, and I listen to the mediator. And I could see, he even took us through, like in a Christianity way. He told us about forgiving, and even sometimes some of these things you have heard from people, not that you saw with your eyes, but you were told by somebody. So when you start listening, you see that actually it could have been somebody who told you something so that you go and fight. The mediator was very good because he told us, I want you to tell me something which you saw with your eyes. But if you listen to people outside, they will make you now give up and destroy everything.
Absolutely.
So people should not listen to people outside. You should see something by yourself. Something you have seen, it is something which you can talk about. But something you have been told, you don't know it is a lie. So if you come home and you fight your partner, then it will be that you are destroying things you are not sure of.
Dr. And I really like that. It's what you're saying is reaching my heart.
Absolutely.
Dr. and your wife said that she's the one who approached FIDA. So I believe that she came back to you and she said, I've approached FIDA and I would like us to go for this. And what was your initial reaction?
Well, my perception of FIDA, of course, at the time was that, in fact, I asked her, why did you have to go to FIDA? Those people are home breakers. But then you see, on further reflection, I said, when now I got official communication from FIDA, and they talked about mediation, then I said, no, I think they are not home breakers after all, if they are talking about mediation. If they are talking about mediation, then they can't be home breakers. I think they want us to narrow down our differences. So I responded very quickly. In fact, I called the lady there. There was a number, so I called, And then Irene, I think, picked. Yes. And so I told her, yeah. I think we can try that. I think we can try that.
Wow.
So I was quite positive. And I think it's important that people are positive about mediation. If, for example, and this I'm speaking as a man now, a lot of men tend to be very negative, and also because they tend to be fairly egoistic. And you see, you cannot bring ego into things like this. These are issues that affect you, and you've got to look at the wider picture of a family. And if you appreciate the wider picture, and you care about your family, you don't want anything to happen to it. And therefore, you would look at the situation more positively and try whatever way possible to salvage the relationship.
Absolutely.
So this is what I had in my mind. I said, since she's gone to mediation, and I'm being requested to go for mediation, that means in her heart of hearts, she also wants this problem resolved. So let me play along and be committed to the process so that we see how things will go.
Wow.
So yes, I said, yeah, we can go.
You can teach your counterparts so much. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I wish.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
evidently the two of you have been together for a very long time. And
40 years.
40 years.
Yes.
Ay.
40 years.
It's very intimidating.
40 years.
I aspire to
We
that.
met when she was 20, I was 24.
No.
Yes.
Do you know, my parents have been together for 30 years, and we were with a couple of friends over the weekend at the house.
Yes.
And my dad was like, you know, I married your mother when she was 26. And he's like, how old are you? So I'm 25. He's like, you only have 1 year. I'm not even hopeful. But
Yeah.
I think, and how long ago, when you finished these mediation sessions,
Yes.
you said the 5 sessions, moving forward, I don't know how long it's been since you finished.
Well, it's been approximately 2 years.
2 years. And everything is...
And now it's as if nothing bad ever happened.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, okay.
Now it's as if nothing bad ever happened.
I know, I say she's smiling.
And, you know, that's why we keep on wondering. I mean, in fact, we prefer to say that it's probably some devil who came in from somewhere.
40 years is a long time.
And you know, being Christians,
Yeah.
we really must understand Christian values when it comes to family. And we can dodge the Christian values and we can dismiss them. And some people dismiss them. And this is not right. I really think that if the Christian values are at the core of the family,
Yes.
then you will save that family, definitely.
And
you've got to understand that family is at the center of Christianity. And the family means so much to God that if you read the Bible, it's one area where, you know, family is part of the covenant. It's a covenant. And that is a covenant which is at the heart of God. And that's why Christian values must be brought in when it comes to dispute resolution, especially as they relate to families. And that's why we appreciated that our mediator was a Christian and had a very deep sense of Christian values. And in fact, you know, he kept on quoting the Bible as we went through. And fortunately, we also were familiar with the parts of the Bible that he was quoting.
And I mean, it's great to hear that it worked out well for you. And
yes.
Couples have issues. It's apparent. It's a must. Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, a marriage, family is it's a convergence of individuals.
Absolutely.
So rubbing shoulders and conflicts are bound to happen. Have you suggested mediation to anybody else that you may have come across that have had issues?
Well, yeah, I have personally suggested to my sister-in-law.
Wow.
I mean, my brother, and I mean, I think my sister-in-law just developed cold feet. In fact, when I told her about FIDA, and then she was like, I can't go there. And then I said, no, you try. Because there is what is called mediation. And I explained to her. They haven't made up their mind to go yet, but I know they'll go.
Wow.
But you see, to take up your point, you see, at the center of most problems in families, there is selfishness. Selfishness. As we talked, we realized that we had both been very selfish to each other. And if you look at many relationships, at the center of breakups and differences and disputes is selfishness. And selfishness relates to money and property. I really feel that it's unfortunate when people break up because of money and property. And if you look at it and you think about it, the majority of problems that relate to families relate to property and money. If you can resolve that, I can tell you, there is nothing you can do.
And Barbara, I think...
and that's why you see we talk very freely. We talk very freely about property and money, which we never used to. Because what is money and property? These are things which, if you read the Bible, it tells you you came to the world naked and you live naked. You really came without anything, and you live without anything.
I like
and
that.
so when you attach so much importance to things of this world, money, property, and you fight over it,
yes,
you have lost it completely.
No, it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
we see just by nature of
Yes.
the disputes that happen in our day and age. And Barbara, one thing I want to hear from you is, first of all, what's it like been trying to, we've talked about that there's a FIDA stereotype, FIDA narrative, that you're actually working, actually countering by bringing families together. What has it been like trying to, first of all, get rid of that narrative and establish the rhetoric that we're actually here for family institution and we're a unity mechanism?
I think it's also good to mention that FIDA has been in existence for the last 32 years.
Yes.
Started in 1985. And of course, the stereotype, more often than not, comes from the aspect that, and as you mentioned, when men are called upon, because more often than not, you'll find that our clients are women. We advocate for women's rights. We advocate for family unity. So when women come to us, more often than not, you'll find women coming to us and telling us, this is what I'm going through and I need your support. I have been raising my children alone and my husband has not been supportive. And what we do then is we will write a letter and request the husband to come. But that stereotype has been there because then when the men are advised to take up their roles, then they feel like it's actually being forced to them. But that's not the idea. The idea is to ensure that as a family, we have that equality, we have that unity in the family. Unity of purpose, unity of commitment to your family and your obligations as husband and wife to the children. So basically, as FIDA, we would, of course, having such testimonies has helped counter that kind of a stereotype.
Brilliantly.
And of course, where we have references, because Monday to Wednesday, we have like the legal aid clinics, because that's the basic, actually like the objective of FIDA, where we advise people on various issues. As we've said, we deal with a number of issues, a myriad of issues, depending on whether it's matters to do with family disputes, land and environment. So Monday to Wednesday, we carry out the legal aid clinics. And this is where we get most of these complaints from people. And over time, we've realized that people have built confidence in FIDA. Women have built confidence in FIDA. You'll come to offices and even find men who are willing to sit down and have the mediation processes, because then it has been spoken about out there. We are out there in the grassroots. We are talking to women. We do offer legal aid clinics even outside of Nairobi. Yeah. We do have offices in Mombasa and Kisumu. And of course, the environs of Mombasa and Kisumu, of course, will always report to our offices in the regions. Yeah. And of course, in Nairobi here. So we've had like those you know, creating awareness on what FIDA does.
Yes.
That also creates a positive impact to the people, because then when you understand and it's tried and tested, then of course the references work for us.
Of course,
yeah.
and it's good for me personally, because FIDA, since when I was in A-level, I'm a lawyer by profession.
Yes.
FIDA has always been my aspiration.
Yes.
I always used to say, destination FIDA.
Yes.
And it's true that the narrative is one way, and I'm especially happy to see that it's very, very wrong, and you are here. This is a perfect affirmation that the narrative on FIDA is extremely wrong. And I think finally, one thing I want to hear from you briefly, especially when it comes to this entire mediation process. Within the millennial generation, it's very easy for us to give up on relationships, which is why we see the divorce rate in the country is extremely high, especially within this millennial generation.
Yes.
And do you receive the much younger side of these relationship issues? Do you receive, I think, when you look at the mediations that have been carried out by FIDA, would you say that younger people come as well to seek mediation, or is my generation just, give up?
I would say the younger generation is also embracing mediation.
Really?
It is embracing mediation, simply because then we can't say that we've received cases from ages of 25 in marriages, to even 60. So we've had, like, it's across the board. It's across the board. The young people are also embracing mediation. And it's quite exciting to see that, because then it means that the family institution, as people have been thinking, is not entirely deteriorating or, at a go down. Okay. So it's exciting to see that we also receive young people. Wow. And of course, in fact, most of the mediators, more often than not, are also young people. So
yes. Yeah. So unfortunately, that brings us to the end of our conversation. Okay. But viewers, I want you to take this segment right here as the best representation of the way moving forward. 40 years of marriage, and they were able to find a middle ground within ourselves. Let us know that there is hope. And amongst other things, if there's one thing you need to take from this entire conversation, alongside preaching hope, that FIDA is all about families. It's a unifying mechanism, and they're doing very many initiatives towards unifying families and solving issues. It's not about breaking homes. It's not about fighting or contentions. They're all about unity. Let's take a short break, but we will be back with you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to New Day on Ebru TV. I'm Kamene Goro, and we're taking a look at some of the amazing initiatives that FIDA is spearheading as we show examples of how they actually work. So we're talking about mediation and the kinds of mediation that you've been doing. So probably you should just tell our viewers, how often do you have these mediation, sessions?
Usually mediation is twice in a month. So every Thursday, a fortnight, that's when we carry out the mediations, because then, as I mentioned, on Mondays to Wednesday, we carry out the legal aid clinics. And of course, this is what informs the nature of cases that we receive and how they need to be resolved. So every Thursday, then, we carry out the mediations. And on Fridays, we also have a kind of, we call it a group therapy. Yes. Where we bring together our clients who require some kind of counseling, and they're talked to on their issues, counseled on what works for them, what doesn't work, and how to perceive issues. And of course, as we say, a problem shared is half solved. Yeah. So when they're counseled and they're taken through their issues and they have an experience sharing with the rest of the people in the room, you find that actually you realize, oh, I thought my problem was quite big, but I realized actually I have no problem. And you even find them at times now supporting each other to solve their problems. So that kind of a group therapy, it's therapeutical. It helps people deal with their matters in a more kind of sharing experience. Yeah, so every Thursday in a fortnight is when we carry out the mediations.
All right. And tell me about this mechanism with the group sessions. I think, and it goes back to the fact that we don't really know how to talk about our issues or share our problems. So is it challenging bringing together a group of people who are experiencing a myriad of different issues or similar in one way or the other to actually be able to share what it is that they're facing?
I wouldn't say it's challenging, because by the time you're getting to the group therapy, you've already gained the trust of the client through the processes. As he mentioned also, having gone through like five sessions of mediation, by the time you're at the third one, then you've built a lot of confidence in the mediator, in FIDA. So when it comes to the group therapy, then it's a session where now you open up and talk. And of course, just having them on set this morning should tell you that actually talking about their issues is no longer a problem, because they've built the confidence, they built the trust, and they've actually solved the issue, and they've seen that it's actually not anything unique to us as a couple. It's things that happen to people, and us being on set again helps educate the people out there.
It's a representation. So they did 5 sessions. Is there like a particular gauge on how many sessions are needed, or is that entirely subjective to the sort of dispute and the people you're dealing with?
It depends a lot on the people we are dealing with, but at the same time, we are not too strict on how many we should have, because the end goal is that we get this issue resolved. So we could resolve it in 1 session, more often than not. At times you could find that you're resolving it in 2 sessions or even 5 sessions, and even at times even 10, depending on the matter, and of course building the trust, building the confidence of these people, you know, because you could even find yourself in a mediation process where you just break the ice between the people. And at times it gets a bit violent, it gets a bit hushed, as he mentioned, but with time, you give people time to go get a breather, come back. You have a mediator, and that's why I say the background will always be one that is people-oriented, because then you're able to understand the mood in the room and how to approach the issues. If it means just breaking the ice for a whole 1 hour before you even get to the issues, then so be it, until you're able to come to an amicable kind of a ground where you can speak in one voice, speak in one tone.
Yes.
Dr. was it easy for you to reach a point where you could trust your mediator?
Well, I think it didn't take long. I think it was, it had to do with his understanding of the issues. And also he appealed to me personally because of his appreciation of Christian values. And therefore, he seemed to have understood the areas of dispute very clearly. And I think once I realized that, then I built confidence in him. And in fact, we both had a lot of confidence in him. And I remember along the line, you know, we would go to FIDA, and Tom is not there. And then she would say, no, we can't see anybody else. We have to see Tom. Where is Tom? What time is Tom coming? And so on and so on. So it shows exactly how much confidence we had in him. Because, you see, we started, in fact, relating to each other quite personally. You know, we trusted him.
Yeah.
And we would express literally anything to him. And I believe that is the kind of mediation one would need to resolve problems of that nature. Because you need really to have confidence in the mediator.
I think, and we see it with couples, and unless I'm wrong, is that when they're facing a particular issue, mediation isn't something that really occurs.
Yes.
Most of us are very quick to throw it in the dustbin or run to court. Yes. And by the point at which you reached that you decided to go to FIDA, just tell me what was in your mind at that point. Were you going to FIDA to save your relationship with your husband, or were you just going to see what your options were?
I remember I went like 3 different places before I went to FIDA. And when I told them my problem and what I had gone through, they just told me, no, this cannot be solved. You just go to court. This is bad. I don't think here there is nothing we can talk. And then I told them, now how do you help me? They told me, no, we can file a case. Then after they told me that, I went, I prayed. Then I asked God, what do I do now? Because I have been told, whatever happened, I don't think it can be solved. Then I thought I should go to another second to get opinion from the second. Then I went somewhere also. I met people. I told them what happened. They told me, oh, Mama, I don't think you are going very far. That's why I'm telling you that if you listen to people, you will give up. And you will decide something. Afterwards, you might say, why did I do this? Then, the third time is when I remembered FIDA. Then I said, why don't I go to FIDA? Because women go there, and I have heard some people saying they went there thinking things were bad. But when they reached there, they were advised, they were talked to, and even they understood that there is nothing which you can sit and talk. So I said, let me go and try. I went there, I explained my problem, and then they told me, would you want to join mediation? That's how I said, yeah, I would want to try it. I remember the first time I went for mediation, the first day, I was just crying. I could not talk. I could not explain anything, but the mediator understood what I was feeling. So he said, you see, today we are just going to talk because I can see you are not ready. But next time, I hope you will be able to go through. So the second time when we came, I was very okay. I was ready to listen. I was ready to talk with him. And that's how we went on until the third time now, when I was coming, it's as if I had understood that I had taken things in a very big way. And he explained and he said, if you are free to talk whatever you think somebody has ever done to you or what has been disturbing you. I think when you are given a chance to talk, it really helps. You know where you can talk and explain yourself. You will just remain the way you are. But I think he opened for us a way where we thought and we came to conclusion that this matter we should talk and understand each other. And I think from there, we were able, twice, we were able to understand and even see that there was nothing big as we thought.
Wow.
But I remember if I had gone into a wrong place,
Yeah.
I would never have been able to get out.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think, Dr. aren't you happy, first and foremost, that your wife made the right decision? And hand in hand with that, having gone through mediation and making that decision to go through the mediation process, as we also look at various couples that have opted to go the court process, how effective would you gauge mediation, and what idea does it tell you about how courts handle family disputes?
I believe that courts handle family disputes not in the same way as mediation. Because you see, in court, you've got a certain mindset. You go to court, you go before a judge, and the judge already knows the direction the judgment is going to be, or the ruling is going to be. On the other hand, in the mediation process, you're given a chance to talk and reach a middle ground. You see, I don't think the middle ground is the objective of the court. The court, goes simply one direction. We say separation, divorce. You see? On the other hand, the mediation process wants you to reach middle ground and gradually, get to understand each other and resolve the problems amicably, which is definitely a better way. Because breaking families is not necessarily the right way to go. And especially when it could be solvable issues which have simply been blown out of proportion. But when now you become realistic, look at them realistically, in the process of mediation, you discover that they were really non-issues. They were so minor, and you just blew them out of proportion, probably because you overreacted. And so mediation gives you a chance to do that.
I think I would also want to mention that the court is currently embraced mediation.
They have?
Yes, the court is currently embraced mediation. Actually, they are working on a court-annexed mediation project, which they've been piloting. So this is actually a constitutional provision, ADR.
Yes,
it's a constitutional provision in the new constitution.
Okay.
So currently, the court has also embraced mediation, and the court also has its mediators. So in matters, and how does this mediation then help? Mediation helps in the sense that it also helps deal with backlog of cases. If then the court realizes that matter don't necessarily have to be taken through the court process, then they actually take the matter for mediation, such that if then mediation does not work, that's when the matter can be taken up by the court. So currently, it's good to mention and to clarify that the court has also embraced mediation, and FIDA Kenya is also working with the judiciary of Kenya in just furthering and enhancing the work of the court-annexed mediation.
And I think what I want to ask is what preempted this change when it came to the judiciary? Because I think one of the notions is that the court process, or let's call it the judicial process, can be a bit frigid when it comes to matters as sensitive as family disputes. And I think now effectively we're much more sensitized on how disputes can be dealt with outside of the court process. But then again, shouldn't legislation itself have a bit more of humanity, you know? If you look, backwards, historically, if there's a family dispute, if a man and his wife have a dispute for one reason or the other, it's okay, divorce, separation. How are we going to go about this? Half, 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 half. Wouldn't it better to also enshrine these family values and these unity values within legislation itself?
I think we are actually there. I think we're actually there, because for the Constitution to provide for it, then it means that we are actually progressing in the sense that we are appreciating an alternative dispute resolution mechanism. And in so saying, then, if the Constitution provides for it, then that is why the court is also embracing it. Embracing it in the sense that then they have a mediation process going on. They've piloted it in the commercial division and the family division. So, and that family division, of course, this is where we have all these matters that we are talking about, custody, maintenance, and of course, the court is also manned by human beings. So the aspect of human rights, human aspect, is also in them, and that is why they've embraced mediation, and it's working. I can actually tell you for sure it is working. Families, more often than not, the family disputes do not necessarily have to go through the whole process, but they go through mediation first, not unless there are matters that then touch on a criminal kind of atrocity. That is when then it has to go through the due process, because then at that point then it needs to go that direction. And
when we look at the mediation process, and sometimes maybe the decision may not be to remain together or just a different kind of mediation process, are the determinations that are made within a mediation process legally binding, as would be a determination from a court process?
I would say yes, because then the parties, of course, do sign an agreement that this is what we've resolved, and that's why I said the duty of the mediator is not to give the solution, because that becomes the solution of the mediator. The solution has to be found by the parties that are involved in the dispute. So more often than not, then since you're the people that have agreed that this is how we would want our dispute resolved, then you sign to it, so that in the event that the matter comes up again and you actually need to take it to court, then of course there'll be a background check. Have you had a kind of a sitting to deal with this issue, and what was the resolution out of this, and what has changed after the resolution that you made on this? So more often than not, it binds the parties, because then, I mean, they can attest to the fact that they did sign. They did sign to an agreement that this is what we have agreed as husband and wife, and this is what we intend to do moving forward from this mediation process.
And I really believe that if you have been a part of an agreement and you have signed, that in itself shows commitment to that agreement. You cannot sign an agreement and disown it. And that is the beauty of that, rather than the court forcing you. You see, the court tends to emboss a decision on you, and you have no way, you have no recourse You've no way to sort of escape, which is different from mediation, where you look at things realistically and say, yes, I think we can resolve it in the following way, and then you sign the agreement.
And after the mediation process, and probably just from the two of you, do they do follow-ups? Like you said, your mediator is called Tom. Yes. Does Tom call every now and then saying, hi, how are you people doing?
He does follow-up, and often we call him.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, so we are in contact with him. You know, often we call him, and he does follow-up. I mean, like recently when we met, there was that seminar recently, yes. And he was there. And we even talked to the participants at the seminar to just attest to the fact that the process is a good process.
It's going on. Yeah. And Barbara, what's the success rate been like for this form of alternative dispute resolution? With all the disputes that you've been doing, where would you gauge the success rate of mediation in dispensing these various disputes?
I would rate it at above 50%.
Really?
Yes. Because as I said, people are seriously embracing it. People are also appreciating family values. There's been a lot of talk about the family institution going down. And of course, if you appreciate as a couple or as a family, or even the extended family, when you're dealing with environmental land matters, if you appreciate the fact that it's a unit that needs to be together, then of course you'll work towards making it work, not to part ways. So then for us, I think would rate the success it's been there, it's good, and would just like to encourage Kenyans to visit our offices when they have such issues, and where we can, of course, definitely we'll take it up and assist them in dealing with the problems.
And when you look at the times when it hasn't worked out, of course, there's a variation of factors as to why mediation may not work, and I think maybe that's just subject to the individuals. Would you be able to identify a few things that really challenge the success of the mediation process? Is it refusal to open up and to trust mediators, or is it just individual apprehensions? What would you say is the biggest challenge facing the success of the mediation process?
Actually, I think you've mentioned it. It takes time for the people to build the trust.
Yeah.
And especially noting that, remember, you're solving a dispute. So at that time, and as the couple also mentioned, at that time, your trust levels for each other are at 0. You're looking at this person as, okay, so you've taken me to FIDA because you want me now, kunimaliza, Yeah. But then, by the time they build the confidence and they're like, so you came to FIDA before me, what could you have fed FIDA with? But when they come in and realize that, okay, FIDA is a neutral party in this whole issue, and their sole prerogative is to ensure that things are working, then you'll find some backing out and saying, I don't think I want to go through that process. I think I am too aggrieved to even have a sitting with this person. Others will just embrace it. So the challenge has been lack of confidence at times and the trust. But of course, from our end, we try as much as possible to push for it to work.
All right, then.
My additional point is that probably there should be a lot of civic education about this, and the process, the idea being spread across the country, so that you've got many more people involved, and then they will understand the importance of the process, so that when people come to FIDA, or they go through the process, they know exactly what to expect. The problem is expectation. What do you expect? They don't know what to expect when they come. And so it's important, when there has been a widespread civic education, then people, of course, will know what to expect because they've been sensitized.
All right, and that is ongoing. That is ongoing. And that's how we are also recording the improved kind of turnout. And people seeking FIDA's assistance in the mediation process in solving their disputes, because then we continue to engage the public, we continue to engage people, just to notify them and create awareness on what mediation entails and the nature of cases that can be mediated upon.